Hi all, in this video we will try to understand the impact of Ketu antardasha in the Rahu Mahadasha. So the screen I am showing you is just the normal kundali. We will go to some other kundalis in some time after discussing uh, the natural impact of Ketu antardasha in the Rahu Mahadasha. So what is Rahu Mahadasha basically? Rahu is the representation of material desires. So whenever Rahu is activated, so your brain, means your thoughts, are going to be a bit frustrated. You feel a kind of frustration. You run after the material desires. That is the main thing. And whether you run after material desires or not, most of the times in the Rahu Mahadasha, you feel tensed. You feel tensed, frustrated, so many thoughts come and go. So it's a kind of, you feel mental tensions in Rahu Mahadasha. That is the main and natural behavior of Rahu Mahadasha. You may belong to any ascendant, but the fundamental nature of Rahu is that one. And of course, if your Rahu is comfortably placed, you may get a lot of comforts and you may get a lot of money, abundance. You may get in contact with so many relationships. If you are a male, you will come across different females that they are going to attract you more. They are the most attractive persons in the life you ever met. So that such kind of people Rahu will show you generally. That is the behavior of Rahu. Rahu is Maya. Rahu is material desires. Right? So that is the behavior of Rahu, and Rahu gives a kind of diseases. So you may have some diseases in your life, but the seed of that disease you will come across in the Rahu Mahadasha. Especially Rahu is famous for skin diseases and gastric problems. So you run after Rahu Mahadasha. Rahu actually defines your purpose of life. Why you took birth actually. In which area you have to put more efforts in this present life. That is shown by Rahu. Let us say Rahu is in your 4th house. So you're going to pump most of your energy in your life in the 4th house matters. The 4th house matters are related to, your +1 and +2 education. So there may be some kind of problems in +1 and +2 if your Rahu is in 4th house. Or 4th house also represents your mother. 4th house is your happiness. 4th house is your lands, vehicles, properties. So when Rahu is in 4th house, of course he may give all those things. He may give some properties, he may give the lands, houses, apartments, villas, whatever. But you may have something there to work on in your life. You may need to work on that part in your life. Rahu is purpose of your life. He defines your purpose of life. If Rahu is in your 7th house, you may come across multiple relationships. You may need to work on your relationships. You may need to work on your marriage stuff. You may need to work a lot on your marriage stuff, and finally you may find one girl in your life, or for females you may find your husband after so many attempts, and finally again after marriage also you need to work on that marriage again and again throughout your life. You have to work on that part. You have to reduce your ego. You have to maybe sometimes you have to repair your spouse so that your marriage life would be comfortable. Because Rahu defines the house in which you have to put your efforts in this life. If Rahu is in your 10th house, let us say, then what happens? So the moment Rahu is in your 10th house, you may need to work on your job a lot. So in the initial days, you may need to, if your Jupiter is not comfortable in your chart, you may need to search a lot for your job. Once you get your job, then again you need to work on it. Again you need to check whether you're getting promotion or not, or whether your efforts are sufficient to satisfy your manager or not. You may need to put some continuous efforts. Even though you reach some position, again you may need to put some efforts. If Rahu is in your 10th house, in your profession, I am telling you, so profession becomes purpose of your life. So that is Rahu. Basically, Rahu is purpose of your life. And what about Ketu? Ketu is your past life's victory, right? Ketu is where Ketu actually he builds a bridge for you in the house he sits. But of course, he may give a kind of a detachment, a kind of isolation wherever he sits. Let us say Ketu is in your 10th house. You may get multiple jobs in your life, of course, but in the work environment you feel isolated, you feel alone, you may need to work alone, you don't want to take some challenging roles in your job. If Ketu is in your 10th house, let us say Ketu is in your 4th house, you may get happiness in your life through your family and all the stuff, but through your mother and all the stuff, but all the time throughout your life you may feel some kind of detachment in the 4th house related matters. You may have lot of houses, you may have lot of lands, but still you may feel some detachment. You may feel alone in those areas. So Ketu is detachment. So Rahu and Ketu, they are always 180 degrees apart. And what happens whenever you have something like Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu antardasha? So you will get lot of support from Ketu. You will observe, right? In the Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu antardasha, you will observe you're going to get some support from Ketu, and you need to work on the Rahu stuff with the sources that Ketu is providing you. You feel that energy continuously throughout the antardasha of Ketu, right? Something like if Ketu is in your, let us say, 10th house and Rahu is in your 4th house, then what happens? You need to work on your 4th house matters with the sources provided by Ketu in the 10th house. That is, from your profession you may get some support, and with that support you need to make your domestic life or your land related issues or your property related issues or your mother related issues or your happiness related issues, you need to make them much better with the support you're getting from Ketu. And especially as you are running Rahu Mahadasha and it is the Ketu antardasha, see, whenever any Mahadasha, any antardasha you are running, even though the antardasha lord is ready to give a lot, the Mahadasha lord should allow it. Ultimately, it is the decision maker is the Mahadasha lord only, not the antardasha lord. Even though antardasha lord is very much comfortable and he is ready to give anything that you want, that is always limited by Mahadasha lord, right? So in this case, in the Rahu Ketu, means in the Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu antardasha, even though let us say Ketu is sitting in a very comfortable position, it's a comfortable star, comfortable house, right, and comfortable sign, right, and Rahu is not comfortable in its sign or in its star or any placement, whatever Rahu, wherever Rahu is in, Rahu is not comfortable. So Rahu is going to limit whatever Ketu is providing. Of course, he would allow to an extent, right? But Rahu is always, because it is the Rahu Mahadasha. If it is a Ketu Mahadasha and Rahu antardasha, then Ketu is going to decide, right? Ultimately, the Mahadasha lord is like your employer, and the antardasha lord is always like an employee, right? So Mahadasha Lord is the boss, and Antardasha Lord is only a serviceman, right? So that kind of things you can observe very clearly. So let's take something like, let's take one horoscope here. Let me try someone who was born in 2006 and 13th March. So if you observe clearly here, Rahu is sitting in the 7th house. So his purpose of life would be the relationship matters, and if he is a businessman, the business would be his ultimate purpose of life, because 7th house represents the legal marriage, the relationships, and also the business, right? So the business partnership also. So 7th house matters. See, this guy is going to he may want to find a bride for him, and ultimately he may find it with a lot of difficulties. So initially he may not find a very good wife, right? Very good wife means he may need to search a lot for his wife, and ultimately he may find. And after that also he has to work on his relationship. It may be the fault from his side or fault from her side, but he has to work on that marriage related stuff. Or if he is a businessman, of course he has to work on that business, the partnerships and all the stuff. Whatever the disputes or litigations or whatever things that's going to happen in that partnership relationship or the legal marriage relationship or any kind of relationship, so he has to work on that area more. And he is going to get the support from his own efforts. He may have a lot of caliber. He may be able to, because Ketu is in the first house. So first house represents you, means your efforts, your own efforts. It represents your body also. So you may get a lot of support from your own efforts, right? And ultimately, in Rahu Mahadasha and in the Ketu antardasha, what happens if in the marriage you may need to work on more, and from your side you're going to put a lot of efforts, right, to make your marriage very nice. So that kind of experience you will see. And one more thing I want to tell you, there is a school of thought how Ketu and Rahu behave actually. Means if Ketu is in the Virgo sign, who is the lord of Virgo sign? Virgo sign lord is Mercury. So Ketu behaves like Mercury, and he is going to activate the houses wherever Mercury is present also. So here Mercury is present in the 6th house, so Ketu behaves like Mercury, so the 6th house is also activated. 6th house is the house of diseases, house of debts and enemies, right? So the Ketu antardasha is going to activate the Mercury, means the wherever Mercury is placed. And what is Rahu here? Who is the lord of the sign in which Rahu is present? Rahu is present in Pisces, so Rahu is going to activate Jupiter here, the sign lord. So where is Jupiter here? Jupiter is in the 2nd house, right? So 2nd house represents the family, the money, the income that you are going to earn from your own efforts. And 2nd house is your speech, your food, right? So that is the 2nd house, your income, your family, right? So that is the 2nd house. So clearly, if you understand for this guy how would be the the Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu antardasha. The Ketu is sitting in a service oriented sign. Virgo is a service oriented sign, and Pisces is a kind of development energy. You can see here he's going to develop anything. So here the person, as in 6th house Mercury is present in the Ketu antardasha, obviously the person may have some diseases, right? Because Mercury is sitting in the 6th house. He may have he may need to the diseases or debts, such kind of things. But at the same time, here you can see the Rahu is comfortable because Rahu is activating the Jupiter in the second house. Second house is the representation of income. So he may give some good income by place change also. So by some place change, because Rahu is a kind of expansion, Rahu is smoke, right? Rahu always likes you to be moved from one place to another place, right? So Rahu may give you some kind of income here. Here actually Rahu is helping you more, but ultimately you have to serve wherever Rahu is sitting. So in this particular Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu antardasha, the person is going to put a lot of efforts from his side, even though he has some diseases and debts, right? Even though his enemies are disturbing him, but still he is going to put a lot of efforts, and he is going to get a lot of income. And with this income and with his own efforts, he is going to work on his marriage relationship, or he is going to work on his family, because the seventh house is mainly the spouse. Of course, he is going to work on his spouse, mainly the marriage relationship, right? And ultimately the money is going to help him, the money that he is going to get, right? Even the children may help him to make his marriage life much better. That's what we can say. Now let's take another horoscope. So in this horoscope, Rahu is sitting in the 5th house and Ketu is sitting in the 11th house. So 11th house is the fulfillment of desires. 11th house is house of gains, friends, and it also represents elder siblings. And what about 5th house? 5th house is your intelligence, your undergraduation, means your bachelor degree. 5th house is your creativity, your intelligence. And also for politicians, 5th house is very important because that is a powerhouse. And also 5th house is house of children, right? So now Rahu is in the 5th house. So 5th house is also house of romance. So for this guy, in the Rahu Mahadasha, in the Ketu antardasha, you can clearly see Rahu is going to give him some romantic relationships. Rahu is going to give some children also, right? And Rahu is going to give him means he is going to work on these matters in particular Rahu Mahadasha. And Ketu is going to give him the gains, the profits. Through friends, the person may gain also in the Ketu antardasha. But ultimately what is the equation here? With the gains, with the money gains, with the friends communication, with good friends, right? With the support of good friends, and with the support of gains, right? With the support of some social status also, because 11th house represents your fame, right? So with the support of elder siblings, the person is going to work on 5th house matters. So now Rahu is giving some children related things here. He may need to, so with all the gains, he has to work on his children. He may need to pay more amount for his children, whether it may be the children education, children health, or children children may want to do some other things other than education. So, right, whatever, it's all related to children. Or if he is in the politics, then he may need to work on more on his political party, with all his gains, with all the money he is earning. He has to put all his money in the political party, in improving his political party, definitely, right? And maybe Rahu is in the 5th house. So if the guy is studying undergraduation, right, and then he has to put a lot of money in undergraduation, in getting a seat in undergraduation, right? So it's Rahu defines your purpose of life. Here in this particular horoscope, of course, Rahu is going to activate Moon, and Ketu is going to activate Saturn, because the Cancer's Lord is Moon and Capricorn's Lord is Saturn. So Rahu in the 5th house is activating Moon. So Moon is in the 10th house, right? So 10th house is your profession, right? whatever profession you do, you may be a politician, you may be lawyer or judge or doctor or software professional, whatever, right? So Rahu is activating the 10th house matters. So you may have some kind of problems in your 10th house related matters, but whereas with the help of Ketu, means with the help of friends, and Capricorn is activating Saturn. Clearly the third house is representing Saturn's energy here, because Saturn is present there, right? So third house represents your own efforts. Third house is your younger siblings. Third house is your communication, a short distance travel. So through the communication, so what is the equation here? Through the communication that you may have with the help of friends, with the help of elder siblings or younger siblings, because you're activating 11 and 3 here, right? With the help of short distance travel, with the help of a very good communication, with the help of neighbors, because third house is also is a representation of your neighbors, right? With the help of neighbors, or with the help of money gains, you are going to work on your children, your profession, and also your undergraduation, or you may work on your the professional matters, of course, we discussed, and whatever the fifth house related, the creativity and intelligence. If you are if you are a movie star, obviously the fifth house matters are very important for you, because that's going to define the creativity for you, right? So if you are a director, definitely you may try spending some amount of money from your own pocket to get some more extra skills, right? So this kind of things are really possible here. So let's see another horoscope. So here Ketu is in the 8th house, so Rahu is in the 2nd house. So what is going to represent? So you need to work on, so what is the equation here? What is your working area? The 2nd house. 2nd house is your family. 2nd house is your speech, your food, and also your income. So you may need to work on your income. Income. That is the only thing. Your whole life is, it's going to surround around this particular income task, right? You may have some kind of litigations also, right? Because Rahu in the 2nd house is related to litigations also. It's a separate thing actually. That is discussed in another stream. But here 8th house is in 8th house. You can see Ketu here. Yeah. So here Ketu is in the 8th house. So 8th house represents the hidden things in your life, and also 8th house is obstacles. 8th house is the unaccounted money, the money you earn by bribery or by ancestral property is also 8th house. So in olden days, earning money without doing any work was a kind of sin actually. So that's why 8th house represents a kind of negative energy that was it's completely against dharma in those days. But in these days, people are also having this kind of unaccounted money, and they are getting some ancestral property a lot, right? So that is the positive side of 8th house. And the negative side, of course, 8th house represents longevity, that stuff. And 8th house represents your research oriented skills, right? So whenever you have more energy in your 8th house, you try to dig deeper into the task and try to resolve the issue, or try to get the clear picture of that issue. 8th house is for research oriented studies also. That is a positive side. Whereas a negative side, if you observe, the 8th house represents accidents. 8th house represents the kind of litigations or the kind of problems, hardships that you may encounter in your life. Eighth house, of course, represents marriage bonding. If your eighth house lord is very good, then your marriage bonding may be very good. But the other things also you need to check, like what we discussed, the accidents, the hardships you may see in your life. So that kind of energy is eighth house. So here, eighth house lord here, because Ketu represents the sign lord also, right? So Ketu is going to activate that. So Aries is Mars here. So Aries lord is Mars. So it is activating the 11th house. So obviously, 11th house is house of gains. So this particular guy is going to get some ancestral property, right? So there's a possibility that this guy is going to get some ancestral property, and also you can say this guy may get some kind of benefits from friends. That is also possible. And he may gain from research oriented studies. That is also very much possible. And especially his marriage bonding would also be very good, right? That also you can clearly see, right? So his marriage bonding means it's not like, he may have a very beautiful marriage, beautiful wife. It's not like that. Whatever may be his wife, whatever may be his circumstances, his marriage is going to be survived. His marriage is going to be saved. Maybe whether he may have problems or not, that we can understand by other planets, but that we are not doing now. But what I'm telling is the marriage knot, the strength of marriage knot is very good here, because the eighth lord is comfortably present in the 11th house. So that is one thing. And he may also gain through ancestral property. So with that, what he is going to do here, he may have some hurdles also for sure, because Ketu in the 8th house is not at all a comfortable placement, right? So he may have some kind of hurdles in his life, hardships and all the stuffs, And then what about the second house matter? Second house is family. Second house represents the whole complete family, right? It's not like only your wife, it's not like only your sister, it's not like that. Second house is your complete family, your father, your mother, your sister, your brother, and your wife, your children, everything is second house. It's a complete family. Okay, so second house represents the self-earned income, and also here second house is speech and food. So this guy may need to work on these stars. So he is going to work on his family more, right? His family, his speech, and his food also, right? For this purpose. And also, what is going to be activated here? The second lord is Venus. Venus is sitting in the 6th house. So the Rahu Mahadasha and the Ketu antardasha in this period. So Venus is also activated. Venus is in the 6th house. So it is going to activate the disputes, the litigations, the diseases, and the enemies energy. And also he may get a first job. He may get his first job, because 6th house represents the service, right? So he may get an opportunity to do a lot of service to his family through the ancestral money, or he may get an opportunity to work on his family from the money he takes from his friends and elder siblings, or any elder sisters or elder brothers. So that kind of things are also possible. Or he can do some research oriented study. With that, he may gain a lot. So he may get a lot of income very easily, very easy money. 8th house is easy money, right? So he may get some bribes, or he may get some easy money through his research oriented studies, and thereby he is going to work on his family's diseases, or his own diseases, or he is going to work on his whole combined family, whether it's maybe his father or his mother. That things we can clearly understand by seeing the remaining positions, right? But this is the equation, right? And if it is very much negative, let us say what negatives he may get here. So 8th house is the representation of, but here the lord of the 8th house is comfortably present in the 11th house. So he may get some good things only, we can say, through the research oriented study and that kind of things. Even his ascendant is Virgo. So basically he's a Mercury, means he's a very logical logical thinking person. So his Mercury is also in the seventh house, sitting in, of course, it is debilitated. So debilitated means he does not have the Mercury related energy. So he is going to, so whenever a person does not have Mercury, debilitation is nothing but the rays of that particular planet were not fallen much onto the earth that time. That is the debilitation, nothing else. Debilitation is lack of something. That's it. It's not like it is any, it's not a bad thing actually. It is actually lack of something. So you may need to strive for that. You may need to put a lot of efforts in gaining that, right? So obviously this guy is going to put a lot of his efforts in his research oriented studies, or he's going to work on a lot of the main thing is, you can clearly see the kind of hidden sciences, the hidden energies he has. He may work on more on occult sciences. He may be an astrologer also, because his 8th house energies are going to be activated in the Ketu antardasha, right? Or he may, mainly he works on research, right? Research oriented person. He is a research oriented person, and by default he has the very much what is a burning energy he has to do some kind of research, you can say, right? By doing a lot of research, by facing a lot of hardships and obstacles, finally he is going to get some good benefit out of it. He may get a lot of easy money or a lot of quick income, such kind of things he may get. Suddenly he may get a very good income, and with that income he may try to solve the problems related to his family, whether the family disease or his own disease, or his own litigation issues, his own disputes related to family, right? So that is the main thing here. It's very interesting to see this kind of charts here. So that's about, right, the Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu Antardasha. The fundamental thing is, Rahu is your purpose of life, Ketu is your past life's victory. So wherever Rahu sits, that particular house matters are going to be your life's purpose, and wherever Ketu sits, that house will give you a lot of support, right? So with that support, you're going to work on your Rahu related house stuff. So that is a fundamental thing. And also you can, the secondary thing is, wherever Rahu sits, Rahu is also going to activate the lot of the sign wherever it is present. So here Rahu is sitting in Libra, so it's going to activate Venus related stuff, right? So the Venus natural stuff, you can say, and also Venus is in the 6th house, so 6th house energy also is going to activate. And Venus fundamentally, it's related to house, it's related to buildings, the celebrations in the family, so you can relate anything, right? Venus is your Venus also represents your food, right? So that kind of stuff you can say here. And Ketu also is the same thing. Wherever he sits, he's going to activate his sign lord. Here Ketu's sign lord is Mars, so Mars, that is in the 11th house, is also activated. So that is a fundamental equation whenever you are analyzing Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu Antardasha. So thanks for watching this video.